can't take it no more. I've been fighting temptations, my Lord. I'm young and I'm restless, and I really can't help it. I never felt selfish before. I've been living so reckless, I know. Tell me, Lord, can you help me? I said, Lord, can you help me? Now everybody got problems, yeah, but waiting no more way to solve them. I really came up from the bottom, struggling my mama on the last dollar.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Health and Hustle podcast. This is episode number 10, so we're finally into double digits. We got some pretty cool lined up for you guys today, which we'll talk about at the end of the episode. As always, it's brought to you by Sports Mediscussion, which reminds you to heal by moving. And with that, let's check in with my co-host, Corey Carpenter. What's going on, man?
Not much, buddy. How you doing tonight?
Doing great, man. Doing great. As always. So, yeah, like we said, we'll talk about our exciting giveaway at the end of the episode, but we got two pretty cool health and hustle topics for you guys today. And then getting started, we'll talk about our hot seat and then do a little check-in. So let's start off with the hot seat, Corey. What's your question?
Absolutely. So, you've officially started your prep into your bodybuilding show and powerlifting competition. So, still getting the wheels spinning, but it's going to heat up real quick. So I was wondering, in terms of now that you're going to be 100% strict and dialed in on diet, nutrition, and training, what's your guilty pleasure and your go-to if you were to go off the deep end and cheat one weekend? What would you cheat with?
I would say, and I've actually done this the past 2 weekends. And I don't think it's not a huge cheat. And I can already tell I'm starting to get a little bit more lean. But I really like Mexican food. So, but I always get like a chicken fajita or something. So it's still pretty lean. I try to avoid the tortillas. But I'll have a little bit of chips and dip at the beginning. But overall, it's not a terribly unhealthy meal. I know there's some oil and stuff that they fry everything in, but it's veggies, meat, and got some guacamole in there too. So it's almost pretty similar to the diet I normally do, just maybe a little bit more a little more dense as far as some of the tortilla chips and stuff that I eat at the beginning. But overall, it's not. It's definitely not the worst thing in the world I could be doing. So
yeah, man, I'm proud of you. For a cheat, that's like the way to go. That's what I always tell people. If you're gonna cheat and do cheat meals, that's about as clean as it can get for that.
Yeah, and it always tastes real good. So that's probably not my guilty pleasure, but it's something that I'm still gonna try to maybe have a meal that I really, really enjoy on the weekends like that, because it's not too far off the deep end. So
yeah.
Cool, man.
So here's this. Let me ask you this one more time, or a little bit differently. I told you the other day, or maybe a while back, I'm 100% dialed into my diet, and I do my meal preps, and I'm eating healthy, and I'm eating clean. Mm-hmm. But if there's 12 Reese cups sitting in front of me, I'm gonna eat every single one of them.
Yeah.
Is there some chocolate or candy bar? What's your go-to candy bar?
So this is gonna be a really boring answer. I've actually never been a huge sweets guy.
Oh shit.
I know.
All right.
But no. I got something for you. I won't leave you hanging. So I've never been a huge candy guy. I guess I'm trying to think. I don't mind a Reese's, I guess, every now and again. But my one sweet that I really, really do enjoy, and I only get it when I go home because my grandma makes it. It's rum cake. And I don't rum cake. Yeah. So it's all the alcohol is cooked out of it. So it's nothing like you get drunk off of or anything, but it tastes like rum, but it's really, really sweet. So it may sound gross, but it's my favorite dessert. I have her make it for my birthday every year. So that's I guess that's my guilty pleasure.
Interesting. I'll have to try that sometime.
I don't know how to make it, so maybe one time I'm home she can make it and I'll bring it to the gym or something.
Cool, man.
Cool. So my hot seat question for you is, I know we talked about it a little bit, and it'll kind of be a good segue into our first topic. If you had to pick one audiobook that you've kind of maybe thrived on, or it's really opened your eyes to certain things, to develop your mindset and kind of your mental capacity, what would that audiobook be and why?
Oh, man, let's see. I almost have two answers. One, I want to say 10x rule. by Grant Cardone, because it was pretty intense, and it really like lit a fire under my ass to get moving. And whatever you think is the norm, and whatever you think is okay, and whatever you think is necessary, you literally need to go 10 times more. So I want to say that was like a really influential book, but I wouldn't say it was a number one, because for me, my biggest roadblock over the last few years has been my mental growth and self-confidence and different things like that. So like that's why I'm so big on Maxwell. He's very, I don't want to say spiritual, but very like self-developing and constantly being uncomfortable and learning from that and such. So I would say the first book I ever listened to from Maxwell was the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. I listened to it a couple times last year. You've heard me talk a lot about this year because I'm rereading it this year because it was that impactful. And it's basically, he's got 15 laws. There's nothing crazy groundbreaking in them when you read them. I mean, they all kind of tie into each other like most things do. But I just think that's my book that I go back to anytime I'm struggling with anything. And, whether I'm listening to it or reading it, I always, as many times as I've listened to it and read it, I have gotten a new takeaway every time. Yeah. So I'd say that would probably be my number one.
Sweet, man. I'll have to check that out. I just finished. Well, I got like 20 minutes left. But that 10x book's awesome. It's like the first. Well, I listened to a couple of Gary V's, but it's like probably going forward, probably the book I'll always refer back to because it's just, like you said, it's really intense and it's awesome. So
yeah, I think for people like us and that are in the stage of the game we're in, when you're, you've been doing it for a little bit, but you're transitioning or you're just starting out or you're not, it's not what you're doing full time. I think it's great because I think to get your shit out there and get started and get going, it's really, really important to put a lot of stuff out there. And I think just hearing him hammer it home, and he also has that like, what I just have started recently calling the fuck what you heard mentality. Like he literally doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean? He's gonna run it down your throat whether you like it or not. And I'm kind of really starting to get into that lately.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That's cool. Sweet. So, I don't know, real quick before we get into the topic, because I think that's a good segue. Like I said, anything cool coming up this week you got going
on? Shoot. No, nothing's new and exciting for me. We had the wedding festivities have officially started. Jess had like her bridal shower thing last weekend, so I went back home for that. So now we got like a ton of shit laying around. The house is kind of, I mean, it's pretty organized and it's not like it's a crazy mess, but it's starting to get hectic. Like there's something going on every weekend. So I'm pretty much booked up from here till like mid-July in terms of, what I've got going on my schedule. There's always going to be something. So just kind of hanging in there. I'm doing about 6 or 7 personal training sessions a week, which is pretty much all I can do. It's like one a day after work. So pretty much just same old grind day in and day out. How about you?
Cool, man. That's awesome. I just have so that Bo Jackson job that I that I talked about the last couple episodes. I have an interview this Friday up at the Bo Jackson Dome in Hilliard, and I think Bo Jackson's going to be there, so it should be pretty cool to kind of meet him, bounce some ideas off of him, and kind of see what they expect out of a potential employee. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, dude, that'll be epic.
Yeah, I'm excited. So, cool, man. So let's get into the first topic, our hustle topic for the day, which is kind of based on limitations, either the limitations you put on yourself or the limitations that others put on you. These both can happen. Both are extremely common, and unfortunately, that's kind of how society is kind of geared towards like the work ethic. So, Corey, you want to start us off with this or what?
Yeah, I think a big thing in terms of limitations and others' limitations on yourself and your own limitations on yourself. I think you posted something this weekend that kind of talked about it, which was really cool. It kind of hit home to me. We had a conversation about just in terms of the little bit of inspiration we've provided to others from what we've accomplished so far. And, me and you both can agree we don't really feel like we've accomplished much yet because we know what the possibilities are. We know what's out there for us. So we really feel like we haven't even scratched the surface, but there's different levels to everything, like we continuously say. So it was kind of cool to kind of look back and see some of the influence and some of the, some of the effects we've had on others from, like from our hometowns, say, for example, of kind of, getting out there and chasing dreams and doing what we've always wanted to do. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, dude, it's been very, very humbling, I guess the word is, just because kind of getting into everything that we've been getting into the past, well, for me it's been 6 to 8 months, but that never really even crossed my mind that I could maybe give somebody a different perception or idea of something they can do for their own lives based on stuff that I'm doing. And I think the biggest thing is just trying to be, it sounds kind of weird, but be seen more, like on social media, be more active with posts, like you talked about with Grant Cardone's book. I mean, he talks about posting like 10, 15 times a day, and I'm just honestly trying to post like maybe twice a day on everything. Mm-hmm. But even just those 2 little posts a day, I mean, the feedback I've been getting from people back home of, them saying, oh, like I didn't, it's cool to see somebody from back home doing all this stuff. I didn't think people like us could do this or that. And seeing you do it makes me realize that I can do it myself. And I think, like I said, getting on the intro to this, society's kind of put this little like cloud over everybody on things as far as, making it try to seem like you don't have to do as much, or that, it's okay to be lazy, or it's okay to take time off, and it's okay to kind of, relax for a little bit, which at certain times, obviously, you got to find a balance, and that's great. But if you want to achieve any kind of substantial success, none of that stuff's going to work. It's just one of those things, and a lot of people buy into it as, maybe take a rest day, or maybe, you can try to contact clients tomorrow, take the night off and do, watch some Shameless or something, that type of thing. And I say that because I started watching a few episodes of that, which is, it's kind of a funny show. I was trying to wind down a little bit this weekend, but getting off topic, it's kind of just sad because that mindset is so universal right now and that's why I think we get a lot of flack for stuff we do, because people kind of tell us to chill out, and even Emily does for me sometimes, because she thinks I'm kind of a maniac. But so many people get into that mindset, and then they wonder why they're not happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think a big thing too is, and what it was for me personally when I started out, was literally not thinking that, in terms of limitations on yourself, just thinking it's not even possible. Like thinking, when you see, granted, when you see an NFL player, an NBA player, some superstar, obviously they have some sort of gift that gets them to that level. But, it came with hard work, sacrifice, and everything. But I'm talking like mentors that we follow and learn from daily, thinking like seeing some guy do something like Corey Gregory talked about when we interviewed him. We only know Corey Gregory as of the last few years. We didn't know the Corey Gregory that, was 19 years old, worked at a fucking coal mine, just to save up enough money to get out of town. Like, mm-hmm. like that's real shit, that like he came from the same place I came from. I know what that's like. My, 3 generations of my family worked in the coal mine. So, mm-hmm. For me to meet him personally and see, well, this guy came from the same place I came from. This is what he's done, so why can't I do it? And I think mm-hmm. it takes, maybe meeting or learning or reading up on somebody before you can realize that it is possible for you. Because to just see someone successful, you just assume they've always been successful, but you don't really see where they where they came from.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on like why people put limitations on themselves? You got any thoughts on that?
Why people do? I just literally think that people don't step outside of their comfort zone enough and get enough experience being uncomfortable mm-hmm. to realize what kind of growth comes from it. So, I don't know if me and you talked about this one time, but, like I've been pretty lean, off and on for the last couple of years, and I've got a buddy, and, he looks good, and he's fairly in shape, and he works out, and he enjoys lifting, but he's kind of like a novice. He's not as into it as I am, and he looks good, and he said it, he always tells me, he's like, dude, I just want a flat stomach. Like, I'm never gonna have abs like you. I just want a flat stomach. Mm-hmm. I'm like, bro, you can fucking have abs, I promise you. But if you keep talking to yourself like that, if you keep saying you're never gonna have them, you'll never fucking have them.
Yeah.
And it's literally, it takes a rewiring of your brain, and it's hard to get people to do that. they have to almost find it on their own. You can't really rewire it for them. But it takes like a rewiring of the brain, I think, until you can change, until you change your way of thinking.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think a lot of time people when they put limitations on themselves, either it's from where they're from, like you talked about your area being coal miners. I mean, and I'm not really too familiar with that area. I've only been there a few times, but I mean, even back home for me, just the culture that you're brought up in has a huge effect on you based on where you see yourself in 30 years, the route you're going to take to get there, whether that's school, college, getting a job in whatever industry that you want to be in, if you follow in your parents' footsteps, those types of things. I mean, those things mold you whether you like it or not. I mean, it's your choice whether you can get away from those or not. But I think that has a huge effect on people. I think fear is a big one as well. I think some people just like you said, they never step out of their comfort zone because they're afraid of being scared, and that fear of uncertainty or fear of failure. Can't really talk right now. I don't know why I'm drinking coffee. But those things kind of deter them from doing what they could do, and then instead of stepping outside their comfort zone and maybe having that little bit of anxiety in their stomach, they just take that step back to where they're comfortable and say, oh, I can't really do that because I don't know how to do it, so I'm just going to stay here where I feel safe and then just coast. But then with doing that, you never grow. You'll kind of be with that status quo that society says you have to be in to be happy, but in reality, you'll never reach your full potential and you'll never be happy.
Yeah, and I mean,
yeah.
And we always talk too about how environment is key, and like the people you surround yourself with, or who you're going to learn from, and show me your friends, I'll show you your future kind of thing. So if you never leave your bubble, and if you never explore the world, or if you never meet new people or learn from new people, or if you never seek out next level people, and all you are around, like you said, is your bubble, your friends, your family that you're used to, and no one leaves, then you never get a taste of the outside. And that's why we're all so, we always talk about old school gym. It's just we've all come together because we've all have seeked out people that are like 10 levels ahead of us, because that's what we want to learn from. And had we never seeked out someone that was, levels and levels ahead of us, we would have never all came together.
Yeah. I think I've got two good examples for this topic. And the first one is a limitation I put on myself. So, and I talked to you, and I think Pontius about this a long time ago. So my squat max is 305 when I started coming to old school, and it was like the first week of August. And I was like, I just want to be able to squat 325 by December, like the end of the year. All I want to do is put 20 pounds on my squat by the end of the year. And because like I just, with the way that I was training, and maybe I was training by myself for forever, I was like, man, like I can't get 3 plates. Like I just want to get 3 plates, and hopefully add 10 more pounds on that by the end of the year, and I'd be so pumped. And I think it was the second week of training when I was at old school, I hit 315, and I was like it was like a euphoric moment for me. I was like, let's go get some beers. Like I'm pumped. Like, I've never had 3 plates in the bar before. I was so happy. And then literally not even 2 months later, I was hitting 420. You know what I mean? And that was all based on not even getting that much stronger, but just surrounding myself with people who knew that it was possible. All I had to do was learn some technique, obviously get a little stronger, and surrounding myself with those people, it was like it was cakework. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's cool to look back on, because I put that limitation on myself because I didn't know any better. Like it wasn't even that it wasn't that I was doubting myself, but I limited myself because I just didn't know, because I wasn't accustomed to training in an environment like that, or doing a true low bar squat instead of just high barring my entire life. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You were stuck in your own bubble, and you were okay with the status quo, and what was going on in your bubble was what you expected, what you thought was the norm, until you stepped outside of your comfort zone and you found new norms. And then that's where we always say, you raised your expectations. So, if you see someone talking about how, I just want to squat 3 plates, if someone comes up to me now and says, I just can't wait to squat 3 plates, like, I'm going to tell them to get the fuck out of here. Because like I want you to squat 4 plates. Why are you saying 3 plates? Like, you're only as strong as what is it, like define your own definition of strong or something. Like if you think three plates is a strong squat, that's all you're going to do. But if you think 5 plates is a strong squat, 3 is going to be nothing for you.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, dude, I was scared shitless coming to old school, but I knew it's what I had to do to kind of get where I wanted to be. So obviously it's paid off in numerous ways. You know, strength not even being the main reason I go there anymore. You know what I mean? I was talking to Jew the other day. I was like, dude, I don't even come here for the workouts anymore. That's just an afterthought, because I know we're gonna bust our ass while we're here. I come for everything else, the business, the mindset, and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And then do you get any more thoughts on that? Because I before we kind of transition, I want to talk about, you know, limitations that others put on you too.
Well, I was just thinking, like, in terms of you know, self-doubt and you know, self-limitations, and I kind of got to thinking about all of my biggest mentors that I learned from, like, that I read their books, I listen to their audio, like, daily, and I got to thinking, and, like, you know, 3 of my biggest, probably 5 or 6 guys that I learned from are from rural, small-town Ohio, started out with nothing. You know, you think Lewis Howes, he lives out in L.A. now, travels the world daily. I don't even really know what he does, but the dude is uber successful. He has like one of the top podcasts in the world. John Maxwell, I mean, I've fucking hammered his name in your guys' brain for the last 3 months, because this dude literally, I've never even met him, but through his books has literally changed my life, rewired my brain. Like, I attribute my brain getting rewired mostly to him. Rural Ohio, like Lancaster, Ohio or something. He was a preacher. The third guy, Corey Greger, we talk about, everyone here has probably heard of him, right? Listen to him, learn from him. He is from a small town in rural Ohio, coal miner. 3 of my biggest 5 influential people in my life in terms of mentorship and learning, small town, rural Ohio. Why the fuck can't I do it? Like, they did it, so why can't I do it? The thing is I know I can do it now, and I'm going to do it. So that's why you guys are here. That's why you're listening to me right now. Like, have I done it yet? No, I haven't, but I'm 100% confident that I'm going to do it. So I'm just said, why wait for 30 years before I start teaching people? Why not just take them on the ride with me? So that's why we're here right now.
That's awesome. Yeah. We're all along for the ride, man. That's cool. So kind of transitioning, I think, like we talked about with putting limitations on yourself, some of the time you may not even know it just because of the situation you're in. But I think it's very, very, it's easier to identify when others are putting limitations on you, whether that's through, I mean, it can be criticism, it can be, you know, kind of passive aggression. It can be things that you may think are compliments at the time, and then look back and kind of maybe people try to manipulate, you know, your feelings or whatever situation you're in. It can be tricky if some people kind of, their intentions aren't where they should be, as far as maybe, you know, they're seeing where you're going, and they may be jealous, because a lot of it stems from jealousy. When people put limitations on you, that's when the criticism starts to come out and everything. But I don't know, do you have any like kind of initial thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think, like, and it's tricky almost, because, you know, it almost feels like everything you talk about can kind of come back full circle into one thing. But when someone's putting limitations on you, like I said, it doesn't come across as a limitation. It almost comes across as either maybe jealousy, maybe hate. You know, maybe they're hating on you. Maybe they're just a negative person because they haven't rewired their brain like you have. And you may not even pick up on this unless you've learned and read and thought about it. You know, someone might, you know, you might tell someone what you got going on in your life, and they might say, oh, that's cool, but, you know, a good key of someone putting limitations on you is but, can't, won't, why. You know, anytime you hear those words, those are red lights for me. And when I hear people say those words, I instantly put up a wall, and I take a step back, and I continue to listen to what they say, because I want to hear what they're saying, and I want to understand why they're saying what they're saying and what they're thinking. But I do. When I hear words like but, can't, why, won't, I literally will throw a fucking wall up. I'll take a step back, because I'm not going to let that shit get in my ozone. You know, I'm not going to let that affect me. And if you're not conscious of it, it can bring you down. It can trigger something in your self-conscious that kind of makes you think, well, why am I doing this? Or can I really do this? Or is this going to be hard? You know, fuck that shit. Get that out of there. You don't need that.
Yeah, I think part of it is I was so, like, the mindset I have now compared to where I was 8 months ago, is so substantially different. Like I was at such a low mental capacity 8 months ago with this kind of stuff that when I get in those conversations and I hear things like that from other people, sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's just peers, professors, anything. I just tune it out. Like you're a better person than I am, because if I hear anything like that, and I'm an extremely respectful person. Like I've always, and it kind of stems back to when I used to try to please everybody. I'm always very respectful no matter what the situation is. But if I hear something like that, I completely tune it out. Like I'll keep the conversation going if I have to, but I'm trying to split as fast as I can, because it's not worth my time in the slightest bit.
Yeah.
The one, because I had an example for this one too, and it kind of goes back, 3-4 years ago. So when I started to apply to PT schools, I thought I wanted to do PT back in the day because it made more money. Like that was my only reason for doing it, was because I wanted to do physical therapy. So I started to apply to a lot of schools. I'd taken all my standardized tests, and my GRE score was 291. And for people who are kind of familiar with the GRE, like a lot of the minimum that schools take is a 300. And I've never claimed that I'm the smartest guy. I work really hard. That's what I always tell people. My catchphrase with college was, it made me realize how dumb I actually was, because I in high school you don't really have to work that hard depending where you're at, and I didn't. So I took my standardized test. I got a 291 in the GRE. My GPA was like a 3.45. So it wasn't. It was just basically I was pretty much average across the board, and I had pretty much everybody telling me, you can't do PT, it's too competitive. Your application just won't be good enough. And it discouraged me. I only applied to 6 schools, but I started getting the denial letters in. Like I applied to OU for PT school, and they responded that same day and said my application wasn't competitive enough to apply next year. And so I was like pretty demoralized, and those kind of things take a toll on you when you're not kind of like have the mental capacity to kind of take it and learn from it. So I was pretty down in the dumps, and going forward, I had some family members, mostly friends, people from Marietta, saying just do athletic training. You can get a for sure position there. So I applied to one school for athletic training. Obviously, it was OU. But kind of going through that experience, and I only got into one PT school, for the record. I only got in 1 out of 6, so I was kind of on the cusp of not getting in any. Obviously, I didn't do PT, but going forward, once I started kind of developing myself a little bit, this is still before the old school days, I realized that all those people that were telling me that I couldn't do it were wrong. I don't know how to exactly say this. I didn't know how to maybe prove them wrong, but it made me work a lot harder in the classroom. So I kind of used that failure as fuel, as far as not getting into PT schools, and then having those people doubt me. I used all that to my advantage. And the culmination of this whole thing was I ended up teaching the first year PT students in the grad program in the anatomy lab. So just kind of one of those ironic things where I ended up teaching the students in the program that I got denied from. So it was kind of one of those things that, the hard work kind of helped me out. But I truly believe everything does happen for a reason, and if you work at it and put real work in, I think most things come full circle and will kind of work out in your favor. But you got to put the work in.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though. I like that story about the teaching them.
Yeah, I think you've heard that 3 or 4 times, but I wanted to kind of get it on air. So
yeah,
cool, man. You got any closing thoughts?
No, man. I just want to reiterate, if you don't believe in yourself, I don't know, like you can never expect anyone else to believe in you. And the conversations that you have with yourself are some of the most important conversations you'll ever have in your life. And if you think about it, you talk to yourself more than you talk to any other human being on the planet. Whether you're in your car, you're in the shower, you're laying in bed, whatever you're doing, you're having conversations with yourself, whether you realize it or not. So just take a step back and think, like, are the conversations that you're having with yourself helpful? Are they positive? Are they inspiring? Or are they negative? Are they deterring? Are they hindering you from your growth and from your future? Like I heard this, I forget where I was at, and someone asked the question one time. They said, if you were to talk to others the way you talked to yourself, would you have any friends? And this is when the light bulb kind of clicked for me. This was like 2 years ago. And I kind of got to thinking, I'm like, dude, I talk to myself like pretty shitty. Like, I'm negative. I'm down on myself all the time. I'm very critical, and I'll always be critical because I expect greatness.
Yep.
But I kind of got to thinking, I'm like, dude, like, you're right. Like, I'm a fucking asshole to myself. I need to change this. So now every conversation I have, it's constantly positive. It's constantly inspiring. It's constantly motivational. And ever since I made that switch, my growth has just been instrumental, and it's just been climbing ever since. So just be conscious of the conversations that you're having with yourself, and keep in mind that if you don't think you can do it, like, you'll never do it. That quote goes, like, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably right. Like, it's literally all on you.
Yeah, you can't fake it. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is gonna believe in you.
No, 100%, and it shows in the way you carry yourself.
Mhm. Exactly.
Cool, man.
Sweet. So let's get into this health topic for today. So, and I haven't really I want to talk to you off air, Corey, about this, but I think I'd like to have some Twitter polls and stuff, hopefully in the future, about what people want to hear about on this, kind of what because I don't want to talk about things that people aren't dealing with. You know what I mean? So, but I think we got a good topic today with some shoulder issues that can apply to really anybody. Obviously, a lot of gym goers, and then especially people in the office who are working a 9-to-5 desk job, because it's really prominent with there. So today, what we're going to talk about is rounded shoulders and kind of the head forward posture. And so a lot of the time, I mean, this is all based from having tight anterior structures. So just, tight pecs, tight anterior delts, tight neck muscles. So without getting too in depth with it, obviously everybody knows we have two pecs, pec major, minor. The front part of the shoulder is where the deltoid is at, the anterior deltoid, and then we got muscles in our neck, the SCM muscle, which kind of goes from right behind your ear all the way down to your clavicle, and then we got a couple scalene muscles in the front of the neck as well that get pretty tight. If we're sitting at a desk for too long, we're kind of hunched over our desk, our head's going forward, our shoulders are rounded, and then obviously in the gym, if you're overtraining pecs and biceps like most people in the gym do, and I'm definitely guilty of it. I know we train chest pretty hard, so I know a couple of the guys in the gym have it at Old School too. This affects a lot of people. And kind of on the reverse side of that, when all those anterior structures are tight, that basically means A, we're training those too hard, or you're putting too much stress on those tissues over time, or the posterior structures are too weak. So, upper back, the rhomboids, the levator scap, the rotator cuff, rear delts. What else did I say? Got a couple notes in my weak serratus, all those kinds of things. Middle and lower traps too. Those are all kind of things that are weak when you have that kind of muscle imbalance. Mm-hmm. So as I talked about in the last health topic last week, anytime there's a muscle imbalance, it's almost always as simple as strengthen what's weak and stretch what's tight. I mean, that's basically all it comes down to. But it comes down to time, so you got to put the time in, which obviously a lot of people don't have, because even with things like this, I know it's tough to find 5-10 minutes at the end of a workout if you're trying to skip out and get to work. It's tough to find time to do that. But does that make sense, Corey? I know I'm talking a little bit faster, but
yep.
Cool. So, do you struggle with this at all in the gym?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been battling with this for years. I think most people are, and I think it boils down to, like you said, stretch one, strengthen the other. Mm-hmm. I have been 100% faithful in trying to strengthen my upper back, my rear delts, and my rhomboids mm-hmm. and everything, trying to get my shit pulled back. But like we talked about a while back, when it comes to the stretching part, you almost just feel like, you don't see or feel the results right away, so you almost just skip it. So I spend about 3 minutes a day stretching my pecs and anterior muscles and anterior delts. Mm-hmm. And I know that it's not enough to get the results I want to get, but it's enough to make me feel good when I do it. So, I mean, I'm kind of, I'm half guilty,
Yeah, no, it's tough, man, because you don't feel that instant gratification, which we talked about, I think, last week or 2 weeks ago. It just comes down to putting time in. I mean, I've got a couple stretches written down here. So the first one is the corner chest stretch, which basically it's as simple as finding a corner in a room that's, at a 90-degree angle, and you literally have your elbows and shoulders at 90 degrees, and you just you put them on the wall, and you lean forward until you can't go anymore, and you just hold it for 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. That's probably my favorite chest stretch, and I mean, it really opens things up, and that's actually one that I immediately feel better with, just because I know my pecs are so tight all the time. Another great one is the one-arm chest to bicep stretch, which is just the basic doorway stretch that you see people do all the time. You can do it with a straight arm or a bent arm, whatever kind of feels better. The bent arm, if you have the elbow at 90 degrees, that's more chest and kind of anterior delt. And then also, if you straighten your arm out and kind of work on your hand position, you kind of maneuver it around a little bit, you can hit the bicep really well too. So if you pronate your hand down, so your palms toward the ground, that really can hit that top head of the bicep really, really well, which I know a lot of people have issues with as well. And then working up towards the neck. The best way that I've found to stretch out the neck is have both your hands towards the ground, and then I do it in three increments. So looking straight up, and I reach both my hands towards the ground, and that kind of just puts more of a distraction force on that tissue as you're looking up towards the ceiling. And then the second one I'll do is I'll look up towards the ceiling, and then just lean my head towards one way or the other, whichever side's tight. Obviously, it's better to do it both ways, but whatever way you lean your neck towards, obviously that's putting that on a lot of tension as well. And then that side that you're leaning away from, you reach that hand and those fingertips towards the ground. And I mean, if you guys try this, if you're listening now, or if you try it next time you're in the gym, I mean, it puts in an extremely intense stretch on those neck muscles. So don't do it too tight. Don't do it too much, because if your muscles are too tight, it'll probably put too much stress on those nerves in your neck and maybe put you in a little too much pain. So be careful with that. But if you do that and then kind of work your way around, like I said, just doing different angles at how your head's tilted, I mean, it makes a huge difference, because my shoulders may not be the worst thing that I have, but I know that my head's always pretty forward, which I'm not even at a desk that much, but I think it's just because my neck structures are so tight. So I definitely encourage people to do that. And then again, like I said, strengthen what's weak. So again, this is huge, not only for this muscle imbalance, but you hear the Westside guys talk about it all the time. The stronger your upper back is, the more weight you can hold. You know what I mean? That's because so much your upper back's involved in the bench, and obviously you're putting the barbell on your back for a squat. So the bigger your back is, the more weight you can kind of attenuate when you're having those heavy loads on yourself. But a lot of things I like to do with this muscle imbalance is banded exercises. So a face pull, band pull aparts, band pullovers, obviously dumbbell rear delt flies, and then arrows, tees, and presses that we do all the time in our kind of in our shoulder and back circuits, because all that posterior work is huge for, like I said, trying to attenuate force for those big lifts, but also just to kind of correct these muscle imbalances, because the rear delts are a very undertrained muscle. I think we do a good job of kind of incorporating those a lot into our Corey does into our Get That programs, but I know I try to do a lot of that as well. Because I know my rear delts are pretty lacking as far as my posterior structure, so I always try to add in a little bit more of that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, is that kind of similar to things you've been doing to try to correct that?
Yeah, everything you mentioned there is what I've been big on. And what I did last summer was I did a lot of, for my warm-up, seated rows. And I took a real wide bar, like a real wide grip bar with a neutral handle. So your thumb is facing up towards the sky and you're grabbing it that way. And I did seated rows that way to kind of pull my shit back in the beginning. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. I think the big muscles in the back that people don't hit that much, and that one with the seated rows awesome, is those rhomboids, which are right under the middle and lower trap. Like, so if you guys kind of visualize in between the shoulder blades, those muscles, when you have that little diamond at the bottom where where your lower trap and middle trap are, the rhomboids are right, not inferior.
Just lateral.
I can't think of the word. No, just under. So just deep to those. I can't think of the medical term for that, but they're just deep to the traps, and then the levator scap, which is right on the top of the shoulder blade and goes up into the neck. Those two are the huge ones that if you just hit that really, really minute band work, it can make a huge difference for those, because they're not huge muscle movers, but they do make a big difference.
Yeah, and when something I read once, and I forget where I read it, was, you know how you talked about strengthen one and stretch the other?
Yeah.
So if your pecs are tight, then your posterior work, your rear delts and such are lengthened. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's more tension on them, yeah.
So if they're lengthened, they're weaker at the end range of motion. Is that also correct?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if they're constantly at a lengthened position, that constant tension is making them weaker because they're not able to contract fully.
Yeah. So I forget, I don't want to say this wrong because you know how people take things if you say it wrong on the internet, but if it's lengthened, you know, there is a time and a place for full range of motion reps. Obviously, form and everything is wonderful, but if I'm just working on, and this is what I did last year, if I'm just working on strengthening my rear delts and everything and trying to get my shoulders back into a normal position, I'm not taking that, like say if I'm doing a seated row like I just talked about, I'm not taking that to full range of motion stretch. I'm keeping it at the top half because I'm not trying to, I don't want to strengthen my rear delts when they're at full extension or full length. I only want to strengthen them at the top half. So I'm only doing top half reps. You know, granted, if it's back to hand, I'm pounding out back and whatever, I'm doing the full range of motion. But if I'm doing this as my daily warm-up or my daily like routine to kind of get my shoulders back in place, I'm only doing sets. You know, if I'm doing sets of 15, 20, 25, I'm only doing top half because I only want to strengthen the muscles in that position I want them to be in. Does that make sense?
No, that's spot on, dude. Because I mean, you're already in that position where those muscles have been lengthened for a longer period of time. So why would you want to strengthen them again in that lengthened position? Because it's only gonna accumulate your issues.
Yeah, exactly. So guys, just think about that. If your shoulders are rounded forward and you're sitting in a seated row position and you extend your arms all the way out on each rep and then pull it all the way back in, you're not only you're strengthening the muscles at that end range of motion, which you don't want. You want to strengthen them at the top of the motion, so where your shoulders are back in the correct position.
Yep, that's spot on, dude.
Now, what do you think about, like, you know, so we got that. Obviously, we need to pull our shoulders back. We need to pull our shoulders back. We need to pull our shoulders back. Forward head posture is huge, huge problem. And it's, I mean, I think, obviously, rounded shoulders are, you know, a lot of bench work from dudes in the gym, a lot of computer work because of the, you know, the day and time we live in. But forward head posture, I think that's cell phones, and I think it's only going to get worse. I think forward head posture is much more prevalent in kids and teenagers than it is adults because you're constantly looking down at your cell phone. So, you know, your neck flexors are obviously shortened and your extensors are lengthened. Is there, I mean, you talked about the neck stretches, but do you want to strengthen your neck extensors and try to get your head back? Or is there exercises you do, or do we just want to stretch?
It's just kind of tough because strengthening those neck extensors is so hard because there's not, I mean, how often do you see a neck machine at a gym? You know what I mean? It's like it's obviously huge for football, and that's, I mean, there's a lot of great things about neck strengthening, but it's not very available to the normal gym goer. So, I mean, if you have a neck machine, work on extension like all the time. I mean, that's great. But if you don't, then stretching is the best thing you can do. Yeah. I mean, it's better to do that than do nothing at all. You know what I mean?
I mean, realistically, I mean, we're not gonna. I mean, we know we should, but it's one of those things that we're probably not gonna spend much time strengthening on our posterior necks.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm always conscious because I can feel it. If I'm looking down at my phone, I mean, I can literally feel this. Like my head's down, my chin's down. I can start to get sore. Like, so I make a conscious effort. I hold my phone up like in front of my face so my head is straight. Now, what's a good way that people can tell? I mean, it's hard. You can't tell by looking in a mirror. But if someone's curious and wondering, like, I mean, you can pretty much tell if you have rounded shoulders. It's not hard to tell.
Yeah.
If someone was curious about forward head posture, what's a good way they can tell? They can have someone take a side view picture of them standing normal.
Yeah, so it's tricky because a lot of us don't want to think that we have these issues. So it's almost one of those things that you kind of mentioned to one of your buddies or something like, hey, like when I'm not paying attention or when I'm not thinking about it, you know, snap a few pictures of me from the side because, I mean, a lot of people, like even like if I go, you know, check to see how my abs look or something in the mirror, like after I got doing abs or something, I might flex just a little bit more just to make myself feel better that you know that I look better. Yeah. So if I'm looking in the mirror and trying to see if my head's forward, I may not even realizing it pull my head back a little bit. It's like, oh, you know, I think I'm okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, yeah, and that's a good point too, because I mean, it's one thing to have a picture, but it's another thing to have a picture when you know it's getting taken, because you're absolutely right. Yeah. Whether you realize it or not, you're going to change or affect your posture a little bit. So if you do get that picture, you know, a side view picture from your buddy when you're not paying attention, and now you're looking at the picture and you're trying to determine if your head's forward or not. What are we lining up? Our chin? Is it your chin, your sternum? Or you, like, because there's something that needs to be a straight line, and you can tell if you're forward or back. What do you remember what it is?
Usually you try to line up and see where the ears are in relation to the collarbone.
Okay.
Like from the side, yeah.
Basically, that'll make your spine in a straight up and down.
Yep.
Okay. Cool.
That's a good question because I think I don't know. It was on a movie or something one time where the guy was like trying to convince himself that he wasn't fat, so he'd suck his gut in or something when he go look in the mirror. But then he gets away from the mirror and he starts slouching over and he's got his gut back again. So just one of those things. We all do it. I mean, I know that I do it. So.
Well, and and this is totally off topic, but I feel like it's a good time for me to say it. When you people, you always see progress pictures, and you're always like, oh, did they just suck in, or did they actually make progress?
Yeah.
I've always been a huge, and I don't know that this is like the right way to do it, but this is the way I've always done it. From day one fat picture, I flex my abs as hard as I can. You can't see them. I mean, I was looking through my progress pictures the other day because like every December I'm heavier and every summer I'm lighter. And I was looking at them, and every day one progress picture, I'm flexing my abs like a motherfucker. And you can't see them; they're covered up with fat. But I also know that whenever it comes July and I'm peeled and I'm looking good, I'm flexing them things like crazy. So I want my progress pictures, day 1 and day 80. I want them to be like the same.
They gotta be consistent, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, I'm not gonna try to blow out my stomach in one and then flex hard in the other one, and because it's not true results then.
No, just putting on a facade.
So just think about that, guys. If you know you're going to be fucking flexing your abs this summer when you're taking those pictures, when it comes time to take your day one picture, just flex the shit out of them.
Yeah.
It sounds stupid, dude, but I'm like,
no.
At least it's honest.
Yeah, it's true. Either flex them hard in both pictures or don't flex them at all in both pictures.
Exactly.
So you can see your true progress, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Cool, man. Well, I mean, I think that was some good stuff. I know definitely it's something that everyone needs to work on, but hopefully, with the stretching and the range of motions and things, it's, helps people get it just a little bit more dialed in.
Yeah, definitely. So Corey, you want to tell them about our giveaway?
Sure. So we are 10 episodes in, guys. This is week 10. It's been it's had its ups and downs. We're definitely getting more comfortable. It's been a struggle for both of us. We are getting stepping out of our comfort zones every single day when we hit play on the mic. And I know like the people that are listening, guys, girls, kids, adults, whatever, you've kind of grown and struggled with us. And we really appreciate it. We've told you 1,000,001 times how much we appreciate everyone's support. We appreciate everyone listening in. We appreciate the feedback, and we really do mean it. And we just think 10 episodes in, it's not a milestone by any means, but it's double digits. So, it's kind of cool to us considering where, we didn't really 3, 4, 5 months ago, we would never thought we would have been doing this right now, right?
Yeah.
So 10 episodes in, we really just want to show you guys how much we do appreciate you listening, and we do know you're listening, but at the same time, we're trying to get this shit out there because we haven't even hit our stride yet, but it's coming. It's, I don't want to say things are going to pop off, but we're really starting to catch our stride, and we're really starting to fall into our own and kind of see what direction we're heading, and we like it. So we want more people to be listening. So, we can try to get our exposure out there as much as possible, but we think if you guys are listening, if you guys can help us get our exposure out there, we obviously want to help you. So we're going to do a giveaway over the next 7 days. And the prize for the winner is going to be 2 brand new Old School Gym t-shirts, the new summer colors. It is a Max Effort Muscle Red and this awesome looking blue. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah.
We'll get the pictures up online later, but we're going to do 2 free t-shirts for the winner of this giveaway. Todd, do you want to tell them what they got to do to win it?
I'll try. So what we're looking for, guys, is you got to repost our picture or post our picture from like our podcast cover. So you got to post that on IG, hopefully all across your social handles, but we're doing it on IG, correct, Corey? Right?
I don't care. Do you want to do Instagram, Facebook? I don't care.
I know we're thinking out loud here, guys, so bear with us. But I think IG is probably the best. These are the pictures.
Yeah, it's true.
So on IG, guys, what you'll do is post our cover art with our podcast cover art. You're gonna put what episode you thought was your favorite. You're going to tag 2 people that you think need to listen to it, and then you need to tag Corey and I as well so we can enter you into the contest.
Yeah, so So, it's a little bit different than most giveaways. Say if you're on Twitter and you see some big company do a giveaway, typically they just have you tag 2 friends and move on with your life. And that's all fine and dandy, but, this is a sick giveaway. These are 2 T-shirts. This is well over $50 worth of apparel, and this apparel is pretty new, and it's fresh, and it's hot. So we are definitely going to, we want to get that to you, but we want to make you work a little bit more for it. But at the same time, just think about it. Like, there's not nearly as many people following us as there is these big companies and these other big giveaways. So your odds of winning are really freaking high. So, if you want, or if you don't have, and you want a T-shirt, this could be the easiest way to get a free T-shirt. I mean, who doesn't love free shit? And
they can do it every day, right, Corey?
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to run this contest for the next 7 days. The winner will be announced on next week's podcast. So you can post this 1 time per day, and we will enter your name each time you post it. So we're going to keep track. We have a list. There's a website where we can enter everyone's name in, and it'll pick a winner for us. So you can post this for the next 7 days, get your name entered in 7 times to potentially win these T-shirts. I mean, it's pretty freaking easy if you ask me.
Cool, man. So just to recap, because I think we've explained it well, but just to recap, post our podcast cover art on IG, tag 2 friends, and tag them with your favorite episode of our podcast or the first 10 episodes. Tag Corey and I so we can enter you into the contest, and you can enter it up to 7 times, one time per day, all the way up to the next podcast episode. We will have the winner on episode number 11. Yes, and we'll put all of this info into, the details of the podcast in the caption as well. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but like we just said, we're trying to get the word out there. We want to get some light bulbs turning on. We want to get a few new people listening. If we can turn on 1 light bulb a week, we're happy. So, if you guys can help us get the word out to some of your friends that maybe haven't listened yet, and we can get one of their light bulbs on, I mean, even better. Definitely. You got any Corey's quotes? You got any Corey's quotes of the day or what, dude? No, dude, I dropped all of the fire I had. I'm good to go. You got anything for me? No, I'm good, dude. I'm good. I need to get back on the, I told you earlier, the book I'm reading right now, I'm not real crazy about. It's not really doing anything for me, so I need to get it finished and get on to something hotter. I know the people want them. The people want the Corey's quote of the day, so. All right, guys, we'll get you out of here. Have a good hump day, and as always, keep hustling. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. We'll catch you later. Struggling, my mama on the last dollar. Hustling, man, I've been putting in these hours. The government been trying to take away with sours. Really all about the money and the power. I just want to see my people in power. Tell me how we gonna shape this vision. Complaining all day, but in the same condition. If you want to make change, it's gonna take